Hi folks, and welcome back. Dan Morgan once again. It's great to have you with us. On this episode today, we're going to answer one of the most fundamental and most important questions that people ask themselves once they've actually determined that they have bed bugs in their house. So if you're watching this video right now and you know for sure that you have bed bugs, you need to ask yourself, how do I determine which bed bug exterminating company is best for me? And there are some very important answers to that, some really important information that you need to know about. We're going to give you that information right now to help you choose the right company for you to help you fix this problem in your house. So stay tuned. Those answers are coming up right now. You're watching Green Tech Bug Heat TV. Okay, let's talk about the things that you need to know to answer the question, how do I choose the very best bed bug exterminator for me? So we've broken this down into three separate categories. The first category is licensing and accreditation. The second category is experience. And the third category is service guarantee. So let's start with the very first category, licensing and accreditation. And that brings us to today's consumer alert. Let's talk about what it takes to be able to call yourself a bed bug exterminator. In the province of Ontario, there are essentially two different ways to exterminate for bed bugs. The first is the traditional type of extermination techniques where a company will come in, they're licensed by the Ministry of the Environment of Ontario with full accreditation by the licensing body of Ontario. Okay, so that's regulated by the Ministry of the Environment. Each technician has to have a personal license where they have to go do a series of examinations that are proctored by usually a university here locally in Southern Ontario. And you have to have a minimum pass grade to be able to pass those examinations. And once those grades are achieved and the technician himself passes those exams, then he's awarded a license by the Ministry of the Environment to be a structural bed bug exterminator. Now the company that that technician works for also has to be licensed and approved by the government here. So that involves an application process to the government by the company itself. And the company has to demonstrate a number of things. Some of them being that they're properly insured, that their technicians are properly licensed under provincial legislation here in Ontario, and a number of other things. So essentially, the Ministry of the Environment of Ontario is kind of like the police department regulating bed bug extermination companies, okay? So any company that comes in and uses certain products, they're called Class 3 products, okay, has to be properly licensed. So the company has to be licensed, and the employees, the technicians that are employed by that company also have to have their own personal license, okay? And those have to be renewed on a periodic basis, and the Ministry of the Environment will periodically come into the corporation who's licensed by them, and they'll do audits and inspections to make sure that a certain standard is being met, okay? They do a whole lot of other things too. They're fantastic, and we welcome their oversight, actually. So that's to do traditional treatments. Now, there's a second way of exterminating bed bugs, also here in Ontario, in the last 4 or 5 years that has been introduced, called bed bug heat treatments. Now, you need to know that bed bug heat treatments are completely 100% not regulated by any governmental body in the province of Ontario. What does that mean for you? You need to know that a company does not have to have any kind of license or oversight by any government agency here in Ontario, Canada, to be able to purchase that heat equipment and then put a sign on their door saying that they're a bed bug exterminator. Okay, this is a relatively new thing. Companies such as ours that are in fact licensed and legitimate are petitioning the government to make changes in the legislation so that people who want to do bed bug heat treatment should be licensed and have some type of oversight like we do now. That has not yet happened, so you need to be aware there are companies in Southern Ontario who have no license whatsoever from any governmental body here in Ontario at all, but yet they're purporting to do bed bug exterminations and calling themselves an exterminator. So there's no governmental protection for the consumer whatsoever for these type of heat treatment companies. So you need to know that. It's very important to be aware of that. There are some companies out there that are saying they're licensed bed bug heat treatment exterminators. There's no such thing as a license to do a heat treatment for bed bugs. Of course, as I said previously, there is a very strict and robust licensing program and oversight program for legitimate companies who are licensed by the Ministry of the Environment. So what do you need to know and take away from this little portion of our video? If you contact a company that says they're licensed, under law, if they are in fact licensed by the Ministry of the Environment, if you ask to see a copy of their license, they must provide it to you. Okay, so the very first thing you need to know, if you're calling a company to do either the traditional or the bedbug heat treatment, ask to see their license provided by the Ministry of the Environment. If they cannot provide that to you, they are not licensed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about accreditation. So what does accreditation mean when it comes to exterminating bedbugs and choosing the right company to do that for you? Well, it simply means that a legitimate established company, which is what you want, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, is accredited by any one of a number of organizations. Okay, so what you're looking for is, let's start with the Better Business Bureau. It's never a bad idea to choose a company that's accredited by the Better Business Bureau and has a decent rating. I mean, obviously the highest rating you can get with the BBB is an A+. We're happy that we actually have that, and we've had that for some time. But what you're looking for is some type of an organization, third party, where if you have a problem with the company, let's say, and they're not owning up to their responsibilities to you and fulfilling their commitments to you, you can go to that organization, such as the Better Business Bureau, and file a complaint if that's what you want to do. Of course, a legitimate company and a company that truly cares about their customers are never going to let something like that get to that level. But it's always a good idea to choose a company that has a good rating with the Better Business Bureau. Now, specific to pest control here in Ontario, there are a number of organizations. The CPMA, which stands for Canadian Pest Management Association, is a great organization that's co-located as well with the NPMA, which is the National Pest Management Association. They're based in the United States. So, of course, it's a good idea to choose a company that has specific accreditation within their field of expertise. So in the pest control industry, the NPMA/CPMA is what to look for. Being accredited by them offers a company such as ours, limitless amounts of information and resources that we can draw upon while we're performing our services. So those are amazing organizations. Also specific to Ontario, there's another organization. The acronym for that is SPMAO, or SPMAO is how you say it, and that simply stands for the Structural Pest Management Association of Ontario. Again, co-located with the CPMA here in Canada and the NPMA in the States. So when you're looking for accreditation in a pest control company in Ontario, look for a company that is, one, accredited by the Better Business Bureau, or members of the Better Business Bureau with a good rating. Two, accreditation by and members of the CPMA, the NPMA, and SPMAO here in Ontario. It just adds legitimacy to the company that you're hiring, where you know that they're interested in staying up on the latest developments when it comes to their specific types of pest control. And when it comes to exterminating bed bugs, that is extremely important. We'll get into that exact specific area in future videos. So look for a company that's fully accredited, and you're just better off doing that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about experience. Now, experience is important no matter what you have someone come into your home to do, whether it's a plumber or an electrician or somebody coming in to set up an audiovisual system for you, whatever it is. If you're like me and you're a homeowner, you want someone to come into your house that it's not his first day on the job. Okay, so experience in general is very important. But when it comes to bed bug extermination, experience is extremely important, and I'm going to tell you why. Unlike any other pest in the pest control industry, bed bugs are widely accepted as the most difficult and most complex pests to actually eliminate from someone's home. There are a whole lot of reasons for that, which we'll get into in later videos. But for now, suffice to say, bed bugs are an extremely difficult pest to get rid of. So what that means is that you need to hire someone who has a lot of experience in doing that, because they've figured out over the years the best ways to do it. Now, no pest control job for bed bugs is the same from another job. Every job is different. Why? Because your home is different than someone else's home. And there are different factors. Do you live in an apartment? Do you live in a house that's fully detached? Do you live in a house that's semi-detached? How many people are living in the house? How long have you had the bed bug problem for? There are many, many more aspects to that. An experienced bed bug exterminator will come into your home. They know what to look for. They understand how bed bugs operate, and they know how to kill them. But it's not just knowing how to kill them, it's knowing how to do it safely and effectively. So as we talked about before, there are two primary ways of getting rid of bed bugs. The traditional way and with a bed bug heat treatment, okay? Each one of those different ways of bed bug extermination involves different best practices. So for instance, someone who comes in to do the traditional bed bug extermination technique for you has to be licensed, like we talked about, and they have to also know how to safely apply those products in the places they're supposed to go, in the correct amounts that they're supposed to be applied in, to do the job safely and effectively. A bed bug heat treatment, bit of a different story. No products are being used. You're simply heating up your house to above 140 degrees pretty much for the entire day. So some obvious things come to mind. A company that does bed bug heat treatments needs to have the experience to know a number of things. One, where to place the equipment, okay? You can't just put the equipment in haphazardly anywhere throughout the house. There's a very specific way in which that needs to be done. An experienced company will know exactly how to do that based on your particular home, because as we say, every house is different. So that crew that comes into your house needs to have the experience under their belt to know how to properly place that equipment. Second, when it comes to a bed bug heat treatment, after the equipment is properly placed in your house, they need to know what temperatures to run it at, what speeds to run it at as far as the air circulation or the cyclonic flow as it's known. There are a lot of things that need to be taken into account there for two reasons. One, it needs to be effective. Of course, it has to work. You're paying money for it. You expect it to work, and so do we. Okay? Two, it has to be done safely. Now, they're not using a product, but they are using heat. So they have to know how to place the equipment in certain ways to make sure that it's effective and also safe for your house. An experienced bed bug exterminator will know exactly how to do that and adjust the procedure specific to your particular home and your particular situation. Okay, so we're very proud that we've been exterminating bed bugs for just about 10 years. And although we are licensed to do pretty much all types of pest control, we've only ever exterminated for bed bugs. So that's in our particular case. There are other companies out there who have a great amount of experience doing that. So when you're calling around to different companies, look for a company that has the experience behind them to do the job effectively and safely.